Newly updated Hero General tier list for the month of December as of Inrat's release. I'll be placing him along with the others. Here in this video, I'm going over and updating my hero tier list, my monthly hero tier. So be sure to subscribe and like the video to keep up with that Hero General tier list. Now, I did do some community posts and got some feedback on how to do this. So by high demand, I'm going to be kind of taking it a little longer and explaining why I'm putting these heroes where they are. I'm not gonna beat the dead horse. I'm only gonna like highlight it, and it is important to know that this is hero tier list and I'm placing them based on my knowledge and my feelings on each hero and all the comps and the things that they bring. And I'm not here to really teach you the game. This is a tier list, not a guide, and be sure to look out in the future for actual guides on the things that you may want. So we're gonna be going by tiers this time due to high demand. So the timestamp down below by tiers, okay? And we're gonna be going from down to up. And yeah, let's just get started because there's a lot of freaking heroes and I have to find them. And yeah, we're not gonna be doing it in alphabetical order. So we're gonna go for freaky D tier, the lowest of the low. As always, you can't have D without Daniel, you know what I'm saying? The reason why he's D is because he hasn't really been buffed. He got nerfed. He was mainly a arena hero, okay? Round one, amazing arena hero. Way back in the past, he was like literally up here, way back when. But now he is doing a 180, and he's still D for Daniel, boys. D for Daniel, and he's a tank. And you would use him as like an off tank if you need a tank. He's the off tank if you need it. Awakening 2, okay? And you could do some funny memeable builds, like, you know, sometimes I do like the one-shot builds. You get 3 times with a sword affix, right? You put them on them and then you can, you know, bonk a boss or something. I do have a chapter 10 run with Daniel. I also have a speed run with Great Rift with Daniel, so check those out. But generally he is quite weak and he doesn't really bring that much to the table. Next one, Kanak. Where is he? I have to find him now. We're not doing this alphabetical order. Kanak, very memeable. When he was released, he was probably the first hero when he was released where he was just dog poop, you know, and he was the first one to kind of like make this trend, and he didn't have a lot of damage. Single target. His issue is that he doesn't have AoE, and actually his single target burst is really good, but the thing is he doesn't have AoE. He's just, you know, the only thing I really use him for really is like his Awakening 2, where he reduces the damage from you know, like a boss or something, right? And that's like the only applicable thing that I can think of, reducing damage. And it's just he lacks AoE. He lacks AoE. I think that he needs a retooling in his kit, and yeah, that is why he is down here. He just dies, doesn't really do damage as he does damage. He doesn't do it as fast, okay? And he'll just die, right? So yeah, that is why he's D. Next one, you can't have Kanak and Daniel without Ophelia. She probably had one of the even worse than Kanak release. She was dog poop, and now she is still dog poop. Her design is great. She looks great. Key art's amazing. Her kit and damage and things, and her issue is that their design philosophy when they designed her is to be like a anti carry type of character and not meant for damage. So her second awakening that they released didn't help at all. And like and then they increased her range, and now she used to be melee, and now when she does her skill, her little drain pool thing from her Awakening 1, usually monsters aren't even in that range anymore because now she's further, right? So they need to like make her drain pool. They need to do something. And on top of that, she doesn't actually do a lot of damage. And what I've noticed is that her main thing with her abilities is that she targets an enemy and reduces their spell power, right? And I thought it applied to bosses. Now, I don't know if it's a bug, but I don't see bosses' spell power go down. It could just be me, but I know I'm pretty sure on mobs you actually see the spell power go down, and on bosses it doesn't apply. So like she loses like her main draw. Like that's pretty much the main draw. When you look at Ophelia, her main draw is that reducing spell power thing, that anti-carry thing, and I think in arena it applies. I'm pretty freaking sure, but it does not apply to bosses. It might be a bug. I don't know if it's a visual bug or anything, but she needs more damage. Her kit needs to change, and she had a rough start. So that is why she is D, and she is still D. Okay, that is all I have for D tier. We're gonna be moving to C tier now. Alberon, we're gonna go Alberon. He is one of the starting characters, healer, and he only does heal. And that's basically what you use it for. One of Alberon's main draws is that you can actually overheal with him and he'll give shield. So pair him with Baldir and boom, you have like, you just infinitely get shields, right? And that's all he really brings. And you need to pair him with Baldir usually. I've seen some builds you can do like Great Rift, like Magic Altar, Magic Arrow, Magic Arrow Alberon, similar to Shilda Magic Arrow builds, right? You can do that. It's pretty funny. But other than that, he doesn't bring that much more to the table besides that fact. And he's a starter hero. He's solid. He is the key hero. If you want straight heals, like oh man, I need healing on my team, boom, put Alberon in your comp. He's a raid staple as well. Like say blacksmith, you're getting some damage, or mage, you put Alberon in there and in your raid comps, and boom, that is who you get for straight heals. And his key thing, like I said, is overhealing and giving you shield, and it can stack, right? And that is his main draw. Next one is going to be Draco. I do like Draco, mainly an arena focus hero, and unfortunately right now with the amount of other heroes in the pool, he is not great. He is not great. I know a lot of people like to say, oh, goblins, right? Expedition. I am not even considering expedition, boys. Like anybody and their mothers can do expedition, and it's kind of similar to like most of the characters can do damage, for example, right? And except for a few, such as like Kenneck and Ophelia, right? So Draco, I think his numbers need to be adjusted. It needs to be like higher, and his awakenings aren't that great either, and he's just been getting outshot. Like what, he's supposed to be like a burst mage thing, but the thing is, so many people freaking do burst now, so it's a little like I mean, I do like my dragon boy. I love his design. He is mainly an arena hero, like helm, you do some 10 mage stuff, and like you freaking like put percent mana on him, and at the beginning of the round you like one shot the team basically, right? And that is his main draw. But unfortunately there are a lot better heroes that kind of do the same thing, and that is the story for a lot of these like older heroes, right? So yeah, Draco, I do like him. He needs a change. He does good damage, don't get me wrong, everyone does good damage, but Draco is just falling down by the wayside. Next one, I know a lot of people love this hero, and it is Hanzi. Hanzi. She is a ramping hero. Her issue is that it takes a while for her to ramp up, and you're like, nah, just put bows on her and then she's godlike. If you put bows on anybody else, they're godlike too. So that is my argument. There are better range carries, better mobility, and other characters actually bring some kind of other additional utility, right? It's just like she just shoots you in the face, and that's all she does. Her awakenings doesn't it's just damage. It's just damage, but it's a ramping damage, and it's just like it's just there's better damage, right? And like she's stationary as well, so it's not like Tia, for example. Tia is ranked very high for me. She has defensive mobility, and she does hella good range damage, right? Yeah, you can do Great Rift, Blacksmith, bombardment, etc. Yeah, like also you could do that with anybody else, but like just comparatively to the other heroes in the game, she is definitely on the lower side, right? So I have to put her at C. She's always been on, like, the only thing she shines in is giant comps for me. Like, when you think of Hanzi, you think of 15 giant, like 10 blood. You just, you know, put elixir on that bad boy, and like like you put crown on her or something, I guess, but she's gonna get bursted. But like, I think of 15 giant comps when I think of Hanzi in this meta, and it's been like that for a while. So you think of Hanzi, there was a time when she was like double S tier arena, you know, freaking 15 giant. You put Leos in the front and then Hanzi in the back, you know what I'm saying? Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. But she just shines in 15 giant comps, and it's just like, you know, like, she's just a ramping carry, old design, and I don't know, and she needs to get changed. She needs to get changed or something, but she's always been like that. Good hero. I love her design. Okay, I love her design. Good hero. Just I can't, bro. See. Next one, Leo, one of the 2 starting tanks in the game. Where is he? Leo. He is solid. When there's a giant arena comp or meta, a giant like arena meta, Leo is like almost one of the few heroes you actually like put, because his potential, he actually has innate reflect, and he's pretty beefy, and if you pair him with giant, he's amazing. So Leo is mainly an arena type of tank in like a giant kind of comp. So if you're running giant and freaking arena, you should probably run Leo. And he's one of the starting tanks. You can I would level him up to 8 and leave him there. Don't level him up more. I would leave if you're starting out. I would use Leo, level him to 8. Just leave him there. Leave him at level 8. He's good. He's good. He is not the greatest, but you know, he's solid. He's solid. C tier tank is pretty good. He's a starter tank. You know what I'm saying? Next one, Leica hero lock. Alberon, if I forgot to mention, he is also hero lock. Leica's another hero lock. Leica is really good. He's mainly an arena hero, and the reason why is because there's a lot of because people target him. He when he does his skill, he jumps in the back line, and when melees, it's a melee nightmare. Melees will follow him to the back line, and then Leica will jump again, and then it's like a pathing thing, right? So that's why he's so good in arena. But right now in arena, you know, pre Grand Arena, you can do anything. Okay, let's be honest, you can do anything pre Grand Arena. After Grand Arena, your heroes need to be your comp needs to be tailored to the Grand Arena buff, okay? And Grand Arena buff, if it favors Leica, like that one season, he is godlike. And since it doesn't favor him right now, he is not that godlike. So, yeah. That is the matter of the story. He himself, it's kind of weird. When you try to make him a tank or a carry, an actual carry, he can kind of do the damage, but you know, it's not as good. He's one of the original heroes, okay? And you'll see like a lot of the original heroes kind of over time they kind of suffer, right? So and there are some that are old heroes and they are amazing. So yeah, Leica is just one of those heroes. Leica hero log, you know, pretty good. All right, next one, Nabella. Now Nabella is so when she was released, she was godlike, and she was really used in arena. This is before Grand Arena buff, okay? And she was used as a giant comp carry, and like elixir giant comp, and she was really good. And you can do some weird like mage great rift stuff with her and things like that. But the thing is, over time, we're in this phase right now where there's a lot of heroes that do this skill jump in backline thing, and there are a lot of heroes that kind of do that right now, and Nabella is just one of this kind of similar, right? And they're the other ones that do it better. They're like S tier, you know what I'm saying? So that is why she has kind of issues, and her awakenings don't really help her. And it's just there are heroes that does what she does, but better. Until those heroes get nerfed, then she might rise, right? But there are a lot of heroes that have very similar kits right now, and we'll get to that. But she does decent damage. Like, she does decent damage, but when I think of Nabella, she is a giant arena comp carry hero. And that is what she was when she was released, and I still think like that. All right, so that is it for C tier. We are done. So now we're moving on to B tier. B tier, I'm gonna go ahead and put Priya on there. Her damage is actually pretty good. She received a lot of freaking buffs, dude. A lot of freaking buffs. She is a really good utility CC mage, and she's also does really good damage. If you want permastun, Priya's your girl, you know. So you can use her in, you know, I'm gonna say everyone can be used in goblins, but you know, goblins, you know, people say that you can do Great Rift Mage. You're not gonna do phase 15. You're not gonna be able to really do phase 15 Priya Mage, Great Rift with her, but you can definitely do like the lower phases. She is a staple if you want permastun in like Arena, for example. You're not gonna see her really in Grand Arena for sure. You're not gonna see her there, but if Grand Arena buffs allows it, you can also do like that TP Priya, you know, put a Bard and a Priya TP in the backline in Arena. That is pretty good as well. Permastun, really good utility. Like Great Rift, if you want a CC unit for mob floors, pair with Baldir and boom, go to town. She is solid. In her second awakening, the freeze armor, very useful. A lot of strategy with that. It's also good for delay and things like that. So like Tower Trials, if you're trying to do like max challenges, you can think about using her frozen state or second awakening, right, and try to delay time, and that is a really cool idea. So next one is going to be Agath. There's a lot of heroes in this B mid tier, okay? A lot of freaking heroes. So B tier, Agath, super solid tank. In my opinion, the best like tank in the game, like straight tank. She is the one, and you would use the second awakening on her, like when she dies, she heals, you know, in a 5x5, I believe, right? You see her a lot in Arena as a one. She has like one of the highest healths in the game, right? And if I see her in Great Rift, I would probably get her. She's really good at soaking damage and really solid tank, really tanky. Really good, and plus she had a battle pass recently, one of the best battle pass skins for sure, in my opinion. Even though she's a tank, I thought her battle pass skin was going to be Daniel tier, but it was not. It was very good. Next one is going to be Isaac. So Isaac is like so she's a hero lock, right? Hero lock, and now it's a hero lock because they added her, and she is like a support unit, but she also can do a lot of freaking damage. And you put some swords on her, and she does her spirit link thing, and then she hits the target, and then like say execute will transfer, and things will transfer, like stuns will transfer throughout the link and things like that. And she's really good. She's used in Arena a lot, so mainly Arena. You don't really see her used anywhere else. I use her in Great Rift. Like, she's a really good Great Rift one-off, like for CC and things. You can stun the back line because her links target like high priority targets, right? And yeah, it's like she's a solid support, and I like her, right? You're not really gonna see her as a main. There are builds that you can do like an Arena, like she's the main carry, put swords on her and stuff like that. And she actually does a lot of damage. Don't sleep on her damage, and she's really good. She's really good. The Rosette Isaac comp for hero boss way back in the past, it is dead now, but you know, there's a lot of history there, and I think she's a solid mid-tier hero. Next B-tier hero, Baldir. Now a lot of people, oh, level 8 Baldir, he's S-tier farmer. This is not that kind of list, bro. This is general tier list compared to everyone else, and I had a time when I played with him a lot, and I was kind of testing him out, and definitely his second awakening is the best one. You need like one Baldir. He has survivability. He does pretty good damage, and He definitely shines in Invasion, as with a lot of other heroes, to be honest. But yeah, you're mainly going to use him in Invasion, most likely, and you're using Deer form. Okay, put him in the back 2 rows. Deer form, a lot of damage. Puts one bow, 2 staffs, does a lot of damage. Second Awakening, and he's really strong because when he does damage, he gets shield, and his Second Awakening gives him a mighty block, so he has a lot of survivability as well. So B tier hero, you don't really see him much, to be honest. You don't really see him much besides Invasion, and that is why he is B tier. He's mainly Invasion in my opinion. Next one would be Behemoth. Now Behemoth, I love Behemoth, dude. I love Behemoth. I think he is either A or B for me, but the heroes that I put in A, that I have, you know, coming up, that is going to be put in A, I can't. It feels weird for me to place Behemoth along with those heroes, so he has to be B, like B plus. Okay, what he is, he's really strong in Strife. I'm also considering Strife for this list as well, and he's really good in Strife. Really good in Strife. Otherwise he is mainly Arena. You can do some great rift stuff with him as well. A little more rare. You're not gonna see him in Grand Arena unless it's favored, and yeah, just mainly Strife right now. Mainly Strife, and he is pretty strong. He is pretty strong. And one of the, like, B plus, like I said, B plus. And he does a lot of damage, a lot of shields, and he has like Provoke. You know, you definitely use Awakening 1 with him, Provoke, right? And he's really strong. He's one of my favorite heroes for sure. And he's like B plus, B plus. Next one is going to be Kayn. Kayn has a unique mechanic of generating items for you, and he has fundamental issues. I've always said it in my other updated hero tier list, where my issue with him is that his invulnerability frames doesn't start. It doesn't start when he, like, his animations go up. Like, he has to like jump and he can get hit throughout all that, right? And then when he falls down, he can get hit through that, right, before his damage goes through. And that is my issue. And as a carry, he has fundamental issues, but he has the unique mechanic of generating items for you. So if you are a person that is wanting to climb the dummy, you know, invasion damage charts for some reason, or anything like that, definitely a raid staple to generate items, right? If you're in your raid comps, you put Kayn paired with Baldir, you can generate items for your carry and things like that. And because of that, he is B. Otherwise, for me, he's like a C, but because of that, like, utility part of it, not as a carry. As a carry, he can do stuff. Like Kayn comps in Arena is one of my favorites for sure. And he's just becoming a little weaker, and I definitely know his flaws, and maybe that's why I'm ranking him a little lower as a carry. But just based on pure utility, can generate items, he is B. A lot of people will put him like S because he can generate items, but that is for me, that it doesn't feel good, and I don't feel like it's too accurate. But B tier for me. All right, next one, Kathy. Man, when she was released, I hated this chick, dude. She was so freaking OP in Arena. It was actually the season that I lost King God because Kathy released, man. This character, dude. But I have played with her these past seasons, and I do like her. She does a lot of freaking damage. Grand Arena does not favor her right now, so she's kind of out of the meta, so to speak. You can actually do Strife with her. I feel like when Strife was released, I was messing around with a lot of Kathy comps, and I had a lot of success actually. But I don't think she's falling out of definitely not a meta in Strife right now for sure. But she does a lot of damage, and bang bang bang, pair of mono, put swords, put some bows on her and stuff, and she does a lot of freaking damage. She doesn't bring any freaking utility, but she brings a lot of freaking damage. Put execute on her, is GG. So yeah, pure damage hero. Not favored in arena right now, but when she is favored in arena, she's definitely freaking used, dude. Next one, fan favorite Chang'e. Now Chang'e, Chang'e is an interesting one, man. When you are first playing the game and you get Chang'e and you're like, you put her level 8 or whatever, and you're like, man, she is freaking S tier, dude. But with some perspective, she has a lot of issues with her awakenings for sure, and her damage is pretty I'll say decent. And when pairing, like seeing her next to Kathy is like, it feels a little bad, but like I have to put her in mid tier, man. I have to put her in mid tier. She has healing, so she can self heal. She has survivability, and she does damage, right? But the thing is, she's melee, and her awakenings don't really do too much for her. And my main issue with her has always been her awakenings. Then when awakenings were released, she had one of the worst ones, to be honest, and she just like kept on, she kind of had like this downtrend, you know, and then they kind of buffed her a little bit, and you know, it hasn't been the same, but she is mid tier for me. Then next one, Estia, she is mid tier. She's like B plus, man. B plus. She's like B plus. And she brings a lot of unique mechanics to the mix. She does a lot of damage as well. She gives she like the person that she buffs or heals or whatever gets a 1 point of knockback, and then all this stuff, so you can like do some funky stuff like insignia mask or like rapid Estia, you know, builds and stuff. You can slaughter anywhere. You can one slaughter anywhere in arena. Like if you want like a utility support to add to your team, Estia is a good way to go. Great Rift, similar, right? Like you can do solo mass insignia comps with her as well. Very great all around hero. I'll put her like B plus, but I don't think I can put her straight A, so I have to put her in B. So for me, B plus, but you know, in general, B mid tier range, probably higher echelon. All right, next one, another B tier hero, Gidnil. He provides crazy unique mechanic of spreading spell shield and giving it to other people on his team, namely the carry, and it blocks spells, right? It nullifies spells, and when it breaks, it stuns the person that cast it and things like that. And he is a staple in any climbing competitive, like in Tower of Trials. He's very much a staple in putting on your team to nullify, to share that spell shield with your carry to nullify a boss spell that would otherwise kill you. So that is why he is very staple, and it doesn't make sense for me to put him any higher, because it's just like overall, right? Like he's a tank, kind of, right? He's like a meat shield, but his mechanic of spreading spell shield is like really good. That is why he makes it even B tier for to be honest, right? I would put him A tier if he was great as a carry or something, right? But you can do some interesting stuff with him. He a unique mechanic not existing in the game. Do you really need it though? Not yes and no, because mighty blocks exist, and if mighty blocks were changed to what it is now, he would probably be higher. But because of how strong a mighty block is, like mighty block and spell shield, okay, that's what I'm talking about. Gidnil gives spell shield, and mighty block kind of does the same thing almost, right? So they change how that works, the properties of it. So he's B tier because of how mighty blocks, how strong it is. And you don't really need spell shield as before. It's like before they changed it, he would have been probably A or something, right? But since they changed it, he's B. He's B because mighty blocks itself is really strong, and you don't really need spell shield sometimes. So yeah, that is why. Next one, Ella. She's unique. Cast. She doesn't run on mana. She's kind of like Ian, but not really. So her cast time is based on how much attack speed she does, and that's her level 8 potential, by the way, that lets her scale off attack speed. You put bows on her and her cast speed goes down. She's very unique, right? I feel like she needs to do more damage. And she's very vulnerable when she's casting. They could probably lower her casting speed down and then increase her damage, but she's a solid damage, very fun character, very fan favorite. Her awakenings are kind of okay, right? Like very mid tier, but you can do like Great Rift with her. She was really very strong. She used to have like a really large health pool, so in arena she would use like 15 hero, 10 giant elixir comps with spear and things like that, and she does way too much damage in the past in arena, but nowadays it's changed a lot. So she's solid. She is solid. Next one, Joel. Ooh, Joel used to be like a freaking meme. One of the free heroes that you get from the beginner quest, I believe, right? And he used to be like C tier for me. He moved up, and the reason why was Strife Battlefield. So Strife is kind of interesting because at the beginning people were just playing a lot of crap, and to be fair, it was a lot of bugs, and people were lagging out and things like that, so you can't really play. But nowadays it's like a little more stabilized. But Joel is definitely one of the quote-unquote meta, but I don't think, in my opinion, that he is one of the top tier picks in Strife Battlefield right now. He is a solid pick, and because of Strife, he's moved up. That is how good that is how good the mode is doing him. If you guys don't know right now, in Strife there's a lot of banner paired with mask, paired with void, right? That is kind of like the cookie cutter build right now that's going around. And Joel is definitely up there. Joel is kind of like budget Kirdan in my opinion. And he's pretty strong. He has CC immunity and things like that. You typically run 15 hero, at least 2 points in mage to have Joel initiate his skill when the round starts, and then a lot of people just put the rest of his points in giant, right? 8 points of giant, right? So that is usually the build that you see him right now, and he's pretty good in Strife, so I recommend trying that out when you have the chance. All right, next one, Mercel. One of my favorites, actually. Mercel is a healer. Now, the difference between Mercel and like Alberon is that Mercel can't overheal. So when she overheals, she doesn't. she just heals up to the max. So Alberon can actually overheal, and then you get like armor, right? And that is the main difference between this. And Mercel's really good because her heal is hella AoE, and it's like tick based, right? So you can think of like a druid in like an RPG, for example, right? And it's like tick based. And she's really strong in arena, and not right now, but she's always been kind of like a really terror in arena for sure. But since the Grand Arena came out, it's a little less so for sure. And you mainly see her in arena. And yeah, just a lot of heals. She's using raids as well to apply a damage increase buff, right? I believe it's one of her potential abilities, right? So slot her in a tier 1 in raids, and boom, you get a damage boost. And yeah, she is really good. Both of her awakenings are really good as well. Don't sleep on the CC immunity strip from her second awakening. Very useful in some strats, and very good. But mid-tier hero right now, and yeah, still really strong. Next one, Rahak, another person that's really good for applying damage buffing, right? Really a staple in raids, right? A staple for hero boss. His awakening 1 throws 2 birds, right? That applies to 2 things. That's why he's really good for the raid hero boss, because he can apply to both of the 2 spires, right? You put him 2 in, you can apply to all 4 spires if you want. And not only is he really good for damage buffing, he is really solid in damaging as a solo carry or a carry, right? And in arena, you can actually use him. He's really good with giant comps. He does a lot of, don't sleep on freaking Rahak damage, dude. Like, he does a lot of damage. So yeah, you can use him as a carry too. So in Great Rift, I pick him up for some damage buffing as well. Solid hero all around. He's never really been in the forefront as like, oh, Omega standout, right? but he appears in a lot of stuff. You can use him as damage buffing. He's really good in like giant comps is where you really see him come up, right? So yeah. Next one, Rosette. She is really solid, dude. The changes that they've made for her over the past, year or so or whatever, like she used to be like D tier, dude. They kept on changing her, buffing her, and she is super solid. She's super solid damage. Tower of Trials, staple, one-shotting the dog boss or something, right? And she does a lot of damage. On top of that, she applies a damage buff as well, similar to like Rawhawk, Mercil, things like that, like Mara. She has that ability, right? Expose weakness, right? Awakening 1. She is super solid. You don't really see her in Arena. You see her mainly in Tower Trials or Raid. Usually the two comps. But if you want like a beefy, a tank or something like that, she is a solid choice. Speaking of tanks, the next one I'm gonna be putting in B tier is Taybec. He's one of my favorite tanks. And it's because he has a unique mechanic. His second awakening, where when he channels, he doesn't die. He's invincible during his cast, and it is pretty oppressive sometimes and really good. It's a really good effect. So really good in Strife Battlefield, really good in Arena mainly, and other than that, you don't really see him anywhere. I imagine you can do like some Tower Trial stuff with him as well, but his unique thing is that he can channel and be invincible during the duration, as long as he doesn't get CC'd. So a lot of people, when they run like Crown Relic, for example, they put a crown on him and he can't get CC'd, right? So you get that taunt off. And he has a unique mechanic, very solid tank, mainly used in Arena and Strife Battlefield. So he's one of my favorite tanks. Unique mechanic. And because of that utility, like when I'm like thinking of like, oh, what can I one slot in my team right now, Taybec is usually one of the first few that I go to. All right, Tia, I would put her in A. Man, do I put her in A? I'm gonna put her in B right now and see how I feel, but she is really strong. So like for Great Rift, staple, blacksmith, altar, 1 living sword, 2 bombardment. You guys know the build. You can clear that bad boy so fast, and she is really good. There's a difference, like I said, between her and like Hanzi, for example. So Tia can do a lot of damage, but also she has the ability to jump back spaces when a target is near her. So she has like this survivability, mobility type of factor with her, and that's just night and day for Hanzi, right? And that is just so different between the kits, right? So she has like the survivability. In Arena, she's like a nightmare for melee usually, right? Unless she gets stunned, then it's GG. But she's really strong in Arena. You can do like some Tower Trial stuff with her unique, like a mobility thing, right? She has really long range as well, and she is solid overall with survivability. One of the few range carries that's really good is because her ability to jump backwards when someone in melee range reaches her, right? And because of that, she is a really strong range carry. Next one on the list is going to be Yan. Yan is an interesting one. She kept on getting worse, and she got some buffs and stuff, and there was like an Arena meta once when she was really strong, and she does a lot of damage now. So because of her damage output, she also does healing, and she has some burst potential with that as well. She mainly used in Arena, and you could do like invasion stuff with her as well. And yeah, she's solid overall. Next one is going to be a Jupiter. A lot of freaking damage. Put bows on her, and she zaps and long range. Awakening 1 overload. No one really uses Awakening 2. Awakening 1 is usually where it's at. Shines in Arena when it is meta. Really a lot of damage, right? And the thing is, she gets bursted a lot. So she does a lot of damage, don't get me wrong. Put a lot of bows. She is a staple, fan favorite, mid tier for me. And next one on the list is going to be, ooh, yes, I will put him here. I believe I put him in A last time. Armis. I'm gonna put Armis in B. he just, in comparatively to the other heroes and what the modes are right now, and how often he's seen, he's one of the heroes that is starting off at the beginning, right? He's one of the few heroes that you start off with, one of the 2 carries that you should probably choose one to focus on. If you guys seen my New to Pro series, season 1 I did way back in the day, I did the Armis run, I did our gang, right? And he is really solid, but as I said, he doesn't really, he just brings damage. There's no utility. He doesn't jump back like Tia does, and there's a lot of heroes right now that does a lot of damage, a lot of bursts. Jump in the back line, you're dead. And just Armis, like, yeah, he just dies. Yeah, you can use log and stuff, but TP goes past log. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to put him in B. Very strong starter hero, very solid, and he is fun to use, and he will teach you a lot of fundamentals about the game, like positioning and pathing and things like that. So very solid hero, and that is why I used him for my New to Pro series. And yeah, I think for this list I'm gonna put him in B. Next one, the last hero that I'm gonna be putting in B for now is going to be Shelda. Now last time I put Shelda in C, I believe, or maybe I moved her up at some point, and the more I thought about her, she is a tank that generates, when she does her skill, she generates mighty blocks, and the changes in mighty blocks really helped her, and she's just like a glorified tank that produces innate mighty block for herself, and also on top of that she produces armor, right? Her armor based on spell power. So it's very interesting. If you guys seen my, like, way back in the past Great Rift Shelda magic arrow mage altar builds, that was freaking fun. She's not as effective anymore because eventually they put like a patch where you're capped out on armor essentially, right? So she's not as great anymore doing that build, but really good in some of the comps used in Strife right now that I think is really strong. And she is a solid one-off tank if you need a tank because of the mighty blocks. Mighty blocks is really strong, so any character that has like mighty blocks in their kit usually is quite strong. And I think she is a better tank than Leo, and she's one of the starting tanks that you choose to get. So like Leo, I would probably leave him at level 8, and then after Leo, I'd probably actually use Shelda as like a quote-unquote main tank as you progress during the game. And she's definitely a staple tank for chapter 9 with the frost golems, right? Because the mighty blocks gets past that, right? So she is a really strong tank once you have her awakening with that awakening 1. No one really uses awakening 2. Awakening 2, there's some meme builds you can do, like, but they increase the range on it. It is more usable now, but it is for memes. For sure, you definitely want to use Awakening 1. Solid tank, B tier hero. All right, next we're going to be running into A tier now. Okay, so A tiers, I know a lot of you guys have been playing for a while as well, and it is kind of going over the same heroes, right? So A tier, I'm actually going to throw a wrench. I believe I put did I put Bommy in A last time? I think I did. And with his buff, like, he does more damage. They buffed him recently where his damage kind of gets scaled off some with spell power now. It's a nice change. It doesn't really do too much. to be fair, it doesn't really do too much, to be freaking honest. He does more damage. That's great. Usually you run like, 15 hero, 10 mage on him. 10 mage is crucial because with 10 mage, he can activate his skill right at the beginning of round. And his thing is that he does a lot of burst and very quickly, right? You like void, you put log, stuff like that. And he can be used almost anywhere. He's not really used in Tower Trials. He's not really used in like Strife, for example. Not used in raids, that's for sure. You usually see him like Invasion. You use them in Arena for sure, and then you could do like maybe like Mob Floors, Tower Trials with them, and you could definitely do Blacksmith, do the Tia build, Blacksmith build for Great Rift, and he is a solid hero. Like I said in the past, he's like pretty versatile. He's trustworthy, like if you want something done, you can trust like Bomby to get it done, right? And that is, he's a pretty freaking strong hero. Awakening 1 is usually what people use on him. There are some reasons why you would use Awakening 2 like in arena specifically, but that kind of goes into like niche strategies, right? But usually you see Awakening 1 for his choice. Next one is going to be Neria. Neria is pretty strong, and it's interesting because when she was released she wasn't as strong, and then they like buffed her and like made her scale off attack speed and all this stuff, right? And she is solid. Not as I don't think she's S tier stuff, but she is A tier. I'll give her that, and she is very, very solid. You see her in a lot of modes. You don't see her, she's not like a raid hero or anything, and you see her like in arena for sure, you know, with kind of like the behemoth comps, right? You like avoid, you put her in the back, and then you have Maras and behemoths jump forward, right? And you see that, and she's using strife as well. You can do great rift builds with her, and you can do invasion, of course, and she shines on a lot of modes. Very strong, solid hero. A tier for me. Next one, I moved her down from S tier before. Ren. I think she's still A tier, man. I think she's still A tier. Just my experience with her and what I would put in S. She struggles in S, in my opinion. She struggles in a lot of aspects for me to like, it feels bad to put her in S, so I'm gonna have to put her in A. She's an A tier hero. A lot of survivability, a lot of damage. You can do, she's like Tower Trials staple, right? You can do invasion with her. You're not gonna see her in raid. You can use her in strife. As a matter of fact, I don't think she's the best. She's definitely not like in my opinion, the best like quote unquote meta in strife, but she can get it done. You can see her in arena. She's never been like the pick in arena. She can do arena, but she's never been like the meta pick, like King God kind of type of comp. She's never really been that, but you can do arena with her. She's like a solid, like a really high solid. But yeah, A tier hero for me, not quite S. Has a few problems for sure. Next one on the list, I actually think Tayson is an A tier hero, and it's because of his mechanic of the more armor he has, the more damage he does. If you don't know like the holy, quote unquote holy combo, it's like you get Tayson, right, and then you get like Baldir and Alberon, and Alberon can overheal shield, right? You just build a bunch of shield on Tayson, and he does so much damage, right? So if you guys don't know holy combo in Tower Trials, you do like Tayson, Baldir with Alberon, right? And you just build up a bunch of shield on Tayson. His damage scales off of shield, and he does a lot of freaking damage. And he is a unique one. He's a unique one. He's like a tank, and he provides a lot of freaking CC. So if you run 10 mage on one of your comps, if you use 10 mage, Tayson will do his ability and do the pull thing, right? At the beginning of round, and he's very 10 mage comp staple in arena, right? You see him in arena a lot, and you can do the Tayson solo with behemoths and Great Rift giant comp, right? You can do that. And really good one slot tank if you're running mage or anything, like really solid. Usually people use the second awakening, like when his health goes down to 50%, he automatically does a skill. Usually people use that. Rarely they use the left one. Maybe in Tower Trials, like if you're actually doing like trying to do like damage or something like that, then you use the left one. But generally if you're like one slotting him as a tank or something like that, you use the second one. And you mainly see him in arena. Mainly. You can do Tower Trials and stuff with them too. Very versatile tank. Next one's the last newest hero, Victoria. She is still A tier for me. A lot of people will be like S tiered up. She can do stuff that other heroes can't, but she has glaring issues and never really my go-to, and she feels clunky. That is my issue. She feels clunky and not like hella consistent. And the reason why is because she does like this remounting thing, and it gets really clunky, right? If it gets more consistent, then fine. But she can do like the one-shot boss builds and all this stuff, and she does a lot of like bursts. You know, people like to see bursts, right? That's why Ian's so like popular, right? But I think she's too clunky for me to put her in S. She can be a freaking problem and very hard to stop, like in an arena. There are ways to counteract that. There's strategies that you can counteract with that, so she is counterable. But I can see why some people would put her in S, but she is an A for me because she's not exactly consistent and a little clunky, like mechanically. I think she needs to get cleaned up a little bit, but A tier for me. Maybe in a different timeline, A+, but A tier altogether. Xiao Bai is going to be the next one. He's got a lot of buffs. Lightning God skin, amazing, one of the best skins in the game, and he does a lot of freaking damage. Sometimes very hard to stop. You can actually counter him. You can counter him, but he does a lot of damage. Who doesn't like a samurai swords guy that goes around like, you know, Virgil style, you know what I'm saying? So he is really good. Xiao Bai fans are very happy. A lot of freaking damage on this guy, but if he CC'd, he is done so. Next one on the list is going to be his brother Zhao Yun, one of my fan favorites, and he attacks very fast. The thing is though, if your device is low frame rate, he is based on like frame rate. So if you're not running 60 FPS, you're gonna have DPS loss on him for sure. So like if you're playing him on Strife and stuff like that, you are losing a lot of DPS, and he's one of the few heroes that are like kind of like affected by this kind of thing, like a lot. Okay, so yeah, that is one negative, but he is a raid staple. Zhao Yun has been a raid staple for a very long time, and he can do a lot of other stuff as well. He can do he's Talon Tower Trials. You can do Arena with him. He's definitely not going to be like an Arena, Grand Arena meta, right? But you can do Arena with him. You can also do Great Rift with him and Invasion as well. Pretty solid all around, but he is a raid staple. Does quite a bit of freaking damage, and yeah, he scales very well. Next one is going to be someone who I moved down from S rank after some time, and is actually going to be Heirang. He is mainly a support hero, and he provides probably one of the best CCs in the game, and that is why I put him in S. But after some time with some more, you know, like Strife and things like that and into the mix, he does damage. You can do like a head-on comp, and he does actually quite a bit of damage. Unfortunately, he's not great at boss killing, right? Because bosses can't be CC'd, right? So if CC is really strong, Heirang is probably one of the best, right? He's really good for Greed Boss, right? He's like a staple in Greed Boss, because Greed Boss, you can remove his armor thing with stuns, right? And Heirang skill stuns multiple times, so that's why he's really good. Definitely an arena mainstay pocket hero. You put a Heirang with a freaking Bard and any freaking comp, and GG. If the opponent doesn't have Heirang Bard, you win, right? Unless they're running CC immunity. But Heirang is one of the best CC, you know, enablers in the freaking game. He's a problem for sure. That's why I put him in S. But with the other heroes that I would put in S, and the reasons why I felt like it was a little more appropriate for this list to move him down to A. I can always move my boy back up to S in the future, but right now I feel like it feels better to put him in A rank. Heirang, one of the best CCs in the game. And next one, I think the next one is going to be a little controversial, but because Armis is B tier and he is one of the default characters, right? One of the two. The other one is Evan. I think I'm going to put Evan in A. A lot of people, you always see Evan here. And do you know why? Invasion run clears. It was so long that Evan was the go-to one to farm Invasion, and then over time there were many more heroes that are introduced that can do the same thing, if not faster or as fast. And a lot of people were farming with Evan for a very long time. Now, I will give you that Evan is a starter hero, so you can actually put all of your resources into Evan and be golden for Invasion farming, right? And the only other thing that you really see, like I use Evan for like simple clear, if I just want to clear tower trials, right? I use Evan for like team 1, and when you just want to clear, it's very fast, very easy, right? No brainer. Some people use him for arena. You can use him for arena. You're definitely not gonna see him in like, you know, freaking grand arena for sure. So he's definitely fallen off, and he's only really good for invasion farming. If you think about it, he's only really good in invasion farming, just like a lot of other heroes. So because of that fact, I have to put my boy in A, man. I'm sorry, Evan fans. I'm gonna put him in A. He's a starter hero. You start off with him. He's a solid. So like, if I had to pick between Evan and Artemis to start off and like put resources into, I would put in Evan. I haven't done a Noob to Pro season 2 yet. That is coming when 20k happens, and I will definitely be doing a starter Evan run for sure, right? So yeah, Evan would be the go-to, and the reason why he's so high is because he's one of the solid farmers in the game. But other than that, you don't see him in Great Rift. You don't see him in Strife. You only see him sometimes in lower rank arena nowadays, right? Since Grand Arena, and he's not raid, right? Tower Trials, you only use him for floor clearing, right? And you can use any hero for floor clearing, really. So he's A, man. He's A. The more I thought about it, the more it felt better. Evan A for this list. So the next one is going to be Inrad, the newest hero in King God Castle, and I have landed him on A tier. So I wonder what you guys think about it. So the more I played with him, the more I want, he kept on moving down for me. Like in my brain, I'm like, okay, maybe he has potential to be A tier. And then like I played him in other modes, not just invasion mode, and he's like B plus. And then he started to go like B, and then like I started getting really frustrated. I was like, man, this guy's freaking C tier. But with his power in invasion mode and how easy it is, and I feel like they designed him specifically just for chapter 10 because he's so good at it. I have to give him credit and put him in A. So he's very like an Evan archetype, like very similar archetype, invasion farmer. Outside of invasion, he is freaking garbage. I mean, I say garbage, but really bad, okay? And like in Great Rift, good luck. Like he is so difficult to use, and maybe in arena, maybe when it favors him, like round 1, round 2 hero, like favoring Grand Arena, I can see a possibility. Maybe Tower Trials, he's able to do a lot of damage and kind of do some records, but I wouldn't hold your breath. And in raid, he does have some application to the blacksmith raid boss, but the thing is, if you bleed over to the next boss, it's freaking pretty bad. So overall, he is mainly like a invasion hero for sure. You're definitely not going to be seeing him in Strife, and he struggles in fights that are like, if he can't do his skill once and then channel for 4 seconds and the enemy is dead, like, so Strife Battlefield and high heat struggles. Okay, you're not going to be seeing him Great Rift with high boss health, right? Struggles, right? So it's Identity Crisis, man. Because of his hit Identity Crisis, you don't know what to really build on him. So he's strictly, in my opinion, very invasion chapter 10 focused, one of the best farmers in the game right now. But outside of that, you're not going to be really using him. And I'm not even talking about Expedition, because everyone can really use Expedition, right? So like, he's very much like Evan. Like, you are invasion man, and he can kind of be used in other modes, but he's not going to excel at it. And because of how good he is in chapter 10, I have to give him credit and put him in A, like I said. But outside of that, he's like C tier, man. Like, for me, like, he is so frustrating to use, and the more you play him, the more you recognize what his flaws and weaknesses are. So if you're new and you don't know what Inwrath does, he is characterized by a unique kind of aspect, new to the game, brand new, fresh idea, and he scales off of no items. His level 4 and level 8 potential abilities allow him to scale off of empty item slots. So the less items you have on him, the more damage, and that's kind of like his like gimmick, right? And that's why he's so good. He's so easy, right? Easy, low maintenance. You just put him on the board, don't worry about items, and he has a lot of stats, right? And he can just burst chapter 10 boss down. Tier 7, that's all you need is tears, right? And what he actually does, his skill, okay, so his skill allows him to teleport to the back line, and that is kind of unique in itself because he teleports and not path there, right? Like for example, Kirdan, he has to walk there, right? He instantly teleports and he smacks that target for damage based on spell power. You can think of it kind of like Mara's skill, right? He smacks the target with a lot of spell power, and his awakening ability pushes that further by applying more spell power over 12 times. That's where the burst comes from. You can burst the chapter 10 boss with that aspect. But the catch is, after he does his skill, he has to channel, he's forced into a 4-second interval time frame where he has empowered auto text, and this is the kicker, based on attack damage. And so he scales off of attack damage and spell power. So there's like this identity crisis thing, and that's my main issue, where he's forced into this 4-second interval where he has to attack empowered auto attacks based on attack power, and then after that he can do his skill again. So it's not like a lot of heroes where in this game where you can, like, say for example the main damage source is from skill, you want them to get mana again to cast it over and over again to do this chain effect. But the thing is, with Inwrath, you can't really do that, because when he does skill, he has to channel for 4 seconds, then you can do it again. So that is, he has kind of like a fundamental like design like flaw, right? And the more you see that, the more you play him, the more like he is so frustrating to play. And I feel like maybe his second awakening will kind of give him some more leverage and kind of change how that dynamic feels. But like he's kind of easy maintenance, man. He is, like I said, invasion chapter. You put him on the field and like you don't put items on him. Tears is all that matters, and he goes to town, does a lot of damage. But outside of invasion, he's like low B tier, C tier hero, dude. Like, man, but because of his performance in invasion farming, which is a huge part of this game, I have to give him credit, A tier. All right, so I think that is it for A. Now we're gonna go S tier. As you oh, you can't see it who's left, but you can guess. Baldir. Baldir is another hero lock character. If I didn't say it before, Agath is a hero lock character now as well. They added some, they're progressively like adding hero lock, the backup characters, you know, to some heroes. I believe Gidneel should be the next one to be backup hero, but they're continually adding more heroes to be backup, right? So yeah, forgive me, I kind of don't remember. Things change a lot in this game. So Baldir, another hero lock, really good, one of the best supports in the game, the only battery unit in the game. The reason why she's S tier is because there's no other hero in this game that gives mana. Now there might be in the future, there's another hero that gives like mana to other heroes. Until that day happens, Baldir is one of the best. Large area, Awakening 1, no one uses Awakening 2 Discord. The only reason why you would use Awakening 2 Discord is for Arena, for like some countering, right? But other than that, super niche strats. But other than that, you use Awakening 1 to expand her range on her skill to give more mana to her team, right? So yeah, she's the only battery unit. You pair her with any mage or anybody really, and you activate skill, right? And yeah, she is amazing. One of the must gets for sure. So I put Lily in S before, and now that I look at it, I think I'm gonna put her in A. And it's because she's just she's a straight tank, okay? No, you're not gonna see her as a carry, straight tank. But the thing is, she's probably one of the best tanks in the entire game, and it's because of her like Awakening 1. First of all, it's a frontal AoE thing that she does, and it stuns like, you know, like in the front of her. And she's really good in Arena, really good as a pocket like tank. And she mounts on her golem. And when that health depletes, she mounts off, and then if she gets mana again, she hops on a full health golem, right? So it's like this remounting thing, and it's really good for chapter 10 because the laser guys with tethering, it will keep on lasering her throughout the remounting effects. It'll give your carries more time to kill them. So really good chapter 10 tank, really solid tank. And because of that, it feels weird to put her in S just because she's not like a godlike, you know, carry as well, right? So I think it feels better to put her in A. So I'm gonna put her in A for this list. Lily, A tier. Next one is going to be Lunaire, S tier for sure. Best support, buffer, buffs attack and spell power for your carry. Has been a staple link type hero in the entire game. Yeah, she buffs your carry. You put her in Awakening 1, right? You want to awaken her. The reason why people tell you to awaken Lunaire is because she can insta-cast at the beginning of round, and that is why people tell you to awaken Lunaire, right? And when Lunaire buffs your carry their stats are freaking astronomical. And if you're buffing a carry that has like percentage based scaling, then you are doing a lot of damage. So Lunaire, S tier, buffs the carry, do more damage, staple. Next one, the other newer link, Mono. I will put him in S. He has a usage very similar, but only attack. He only buffs the attack, and his percentages on the attack buff is higher. So if you're using a hero, if your carry is a hero that is mainly attack based, Mono is definitely better to use. And on top of that, he gives you movement speed, more movement speed, and 30% damage reduction. Really good, really solid. There are reasons why you would use Mono over Lunaire. If I had to pick, if I was a new player and I was like, oh, which one do I use, and I have both Lunaire and Mono, I would use Lunaire. So definitely Lunaire is a safer bet, but there is a place for Mono, and he is still really, really good, and there are reasons why you would use him over Lunaire. The next one on the list, Mara. Mara's an interesting one. She's really good. She is like an off tank, like a pseudo off tank, and it's because and people usually use her duplicate awakening, her awakening 2, the clone one, right? So when she uses her skill, she'll make a dupe of herself with lower health, and she will generate a mighty block for herself, so she has survivability. Great round 1 arena type hero, and yeah, and use as a void feeder, right? When you're using void relic, you would use Mara as one of those, right? And she just, her usages, I would use her as like a pseudo tank. Like, it's kind of interesting, right? Like, instead of putting an actual tank on the field, I would put Amara, and that is just how she is, and she's like the best pseudo tank in my opinion. One of the void feeders as well, and S rank for sure. You're definitely not going to use her. You're not using her for main damage carry for sure. You're using her as like an enabler, like utility kind of thing. And for void relic, when you think of void relic, you think of Mara, and another hero that's not on this list yet. Now the next hero on this list is gonna be Ian. A lot of nerfs, still really freaking good. Yeah, you can do TP Ian, really good in arena right now. Freaking arena, he's really good in arena. Burst people down. You can do invasion with him. You can do Tower of Trials. He's a raid staple. You can do strife with him. He is not the best at strife, but you can do it with him. He can almost do freaking everything. He needs to get more nerf, bro, but he is really strong. Yeah, Ian. Next one, Mel's a staple, percentage based. She is raid staple, has always been. You put a lot of bows on her, put Lunaire, Mel, she does a lot of freaking damage. She does arena. She's definitely not grand arena, but she can do arena. She's a staple in Tower of Trials, a hella staple in freaking raids. She's actually one of the comps in Strife Battlefield that's really good right now. And she does a lot. You're definitely not gonna see her like, she's not a farmer, okay? You're not using her to farm invasion. For like, if you want gold farming, you're definitely not doing Mel, okay? You're definitely doing like arena, Strife competitive stuff, Tower Trial competitive stuff, and things like that. She is one of SSS tier picks in Great Rift. If you want to do phase 15, she is meta S tier as mess. You're using Mel for literally everything, but funny enough, you don't really use her for farming invasion, okay? So yeah. That's pretty funny actually. That is pretty funny actually. But you can use her in invasion, don't get me wrong, but you are gonna spend a lot more time struggling a little more in invasion for sure. But she is a staple, been around forever, and she will probably remain like that forever. So S tier. Next one, oh boy, Kierdan, one of my favorite heroes in the game, and it is kind of funny because he is so strong. They need to nerf this guy. He is a 30 mana hero, 2 auto attacks. He's doing his skill. He spins, he channels, he spins, does a lot of damage. He is he scales off of attack speed or spell power. You can't really go wrong with either. You can do freaking hybrid. You can go all in spell power. You can do all in attack speed. It doesn't matter. He does freaking damage. And on top of that, while he channels, he is CC freaking immune. He is freaking everywhere. He can do everything. You know, probably he's not meta for raid, but besides that, he can do everything. He is everything. Probably, you know, there are better picks in, like, if you're doing Tower Trials competitive, there are probably better picks, but freaking Kierdan is a problem. He is so good. CC immunity, 2 auto attacks, high damage. Enough said. He is basically like it. What he does is what Nabella and freaking Inwrath pretty much does, but better. And he scales off of like either thing, right? And that's like my main issue with the newest hero, Inwrath, right? Like Kierdan is either spell power or attack speed, and he scales off of both. And he's just so good. He's so good. I would not be surprised if he is nerfed very soon. But as of this patch, he's not nerfed. So he is still freaking godlike. Now, the last person on this list, can you guess it? Rai. I will put her in S tier. They made her skills scale off of attack speed, and why did they buff her? She is my go-to comp in Strife right now, and it is insanely oppressive. Really, she was really good in Arena. She's even better in Arena. Freaking hero boss, she can do hero boss, so she is like raid, quote unquote, raid staple now. Like what? And she's like she summons a puppet, and she, like, her mechanics are great. And guess what? Void Relic, she's a staple in Void Relic. If you're using Void Relic, you think of Rai and Mara. And Rai is some like, before the buff, she was really good. They buffed her. And there was like literally no reason. Like, literally, if I remember right, their reasoning was like, oh, because of a void, you know, we changed some grenade, and upon death effects, we wanted to buff. I'm like, what? Like, she's really good before, and you're buffing her even more? My theory is that the next Battle Pass skin is going to be Rai, and they wanted to buff Rai so people can buy the Battle Pass. And that is my theory, because they know Rai is definitely a fan favorite, and there was literally zero reason to buff her. They buffed her, and I'm gonna guess that the next Battle Pass skin is going to be Rai. I'm calling it. But Rai S tier, man, like, she is insanely overpowered right now, and they need to revert it. But I'm down for over OP, you know. I'm down for OP. But anyways, this is the list for the December general hero tier list. As always, every month I'll be updating this list, so be sure to subscribe and like the video to keep up with that. And let me know in the comments below, what are your thoughts on the newest hero? How do you feel about the rest of this list? And let me know in the comments below. And as always, thumbs if you liked this, subs if you loved it, and I'll see you next one, boys. Later.